Welcome to my channel Sella Buzz. The journey of Arnold Schwarzenegger began in the little Austrian town of Thal. He was born on July 30th, 1947, and grew up in Europe after the war. He spent his childhood, made by strict rules and hard work and few chances for his father, Gustav Schwarzenegger, worked as a police officer-in-chief and a former soldier who was in charge of Arnold and his strict and demanding family. They thought that his bigger brother, Mard, would follow strict rules, get up early, and finish their daily tasks without. He said his father liked Minard more, seeing him as the stronger and more kid who was good, and often left Arnold. He felt like he had to prove something. He knew from a very young age that if he needed something bigger than that, he had to fight for the life he had. Despite the problems, he did it himself. Arnold's childhood did not lack happiness. He could think of many things and was hungry for fun and often getting away into He loved movies and comic books. Bigger-than-life heroes interest me. I admire how strong, brave, and ability to get through hard times. This admiration was the first thing that led to dreams in his young mind. But in a small village in Austria, where custom-ruled dreams of fame and wealth seemed, his folks had unrealistic expectations for him. Maybe take the usual route, going into trades or becoming a police officer. Arnold wasn't interested in his everyday life. He wanted something. Arnold was bigger when he was 14 years old, brought weightlifting to their attention, and would change the way his life went. He had always been fit, following soccer and other sports. He quickly learned, though, that team sports didn't make him happy like weightlifting did. Bodybuilding gave him something, right? One of a kind. It was a personal task, a test of how strong each person is. And Rulies, when he got his first bike set of weights, he felt an instant. He knew this was his Thai love, his escape, and maybe even his. He threw himself at the chance to start a new life, committed to training without giving up, going to the gym for hours and pushing his body beyond what it could do. His bedroom, the walls were full of pictures of muscle stars like Reg Park and Steve Yuri Sandow, and Reeves and Reg Parcone person became his idol, not just because he was good at bodybuilding, but because he had changed into acting and leading in Hercules movies. To Arnold, Park was the best of the best. Plan a way to go from weightlifting to, from that point on, Arnold was in Hollywood. It wasn't just to get bigger. He was getting ready for a future that goes beyond Austria. People didn't believe in his passion. His father and teachers made fun of him a lot, an obsession with lifting weights, since it was a pointless pursuit with no real future. His friends didn't get it, why he spent so much time at the gym instead of having fun and going out. But Arnold didn't care about their worries. If their lack of belief only made him stronger. Strong will, he was ready to give up ease, socializing, and even he went to sleep to follow his dream. He had already made up his mind to become the best muscle in the world, and nothing could stop it. The Arnold Schwarzenegger's love for bodybuilding quickly grew into an passion. He trained hard and often trying to sneak into the gym on the weekends when it was closed, and people were desperate to get in extra. Hours of getting better at his discipline set him different from other people his age. While his friends were having fun as teens, Arnold worked out his body one rep at a time. When people dreamed of a world that was far away, he went beyond the borders of Austria. Himself in fitness magazines and reading the methods used by famous bodybuilders, learning more than just how to get bigger, but also how to change your mind to become a. Arnold became winner when he was only 15 years old, made a brave choice. He would become this is the world's best lifter. It wasn't just a dream, it was a clear goal that he could picture. He wrote it down every day and spoke it into living and planned his whole life about getting it. He knew that too. He had to work out more to get to the top. He worked out more than anyone else. Violent and often lasts for hours, until his body was almost too tired to move. He accepted the idea that pain was short-term, success was permanent. He said, welcomed the pain, the sweat, and he knew they were having a hard time because stepping stones to greatness. By the time Arnold had grown a lot, by the time he was 17, like the average teen, his body was already very good, and his confidence matched it. He put in his first, taking part in a bodybuilding competition, took the stage with a drive that anything he had ever felt before. It's exciting to play in front of a crowd. How exciting. It was to be judged on his work and the thrill of the race made him feel something. He knew this was supposed to be winning, wasn't? It wasn't just a wish. It was a must. Wasn't just working out for fun. Building his future. Arnold's goals went beyond Austria. He saw Hishi's home country as too small for his goals. Took care of his heroes like Reggie Park did, became famous in the US, and Arnold, he knew that if he wanted to join them, he had to leave their steps. He had never been to everything behind him, the United States, but he thought he had already lived there. He would work out. Listen to American English for hours, radio stations that read newspapers, and he wanted to copy the accents of movie stars, to be ready for when he did it, finally stepped foot in the land of chance. His big break came when he was asked to train in Germany, which the scene for bodybuilding was a lot more. He was competitive, and this was his first step out, which was his first taste of the world. Beyond his small village, while others might have been intimidated by the challenge, Arnold thrived on it. He trained harder than ever, competing against seasoned athletes, learning from the best, and proving that he belonged among them. Every competition, every challenge, every sacrifice only strengthened his resolve. He was no longer just an ambitious teenager. He was a rising star destined for something far greater than anyone around him could see. Arnold Schwarzenegger's journey took a major leap forward when he left Austria to compete on the international stage. His drive and determination had already set him apart. But now he was entering a world where the competition was fiercer, the expectations were higher, and the stakes were greater. Moving to Germany gave him the opportunity to train at more advanced facilities and compete against some of the best bodybuilders in Europe. He was no longer the biggest fish in a small pond. He was surrounded by experienced athletes who'd been in the sport much longer than him. But instead of feeling intimidated, he thrived on the challenge. His relentless work ethic soon paid off. At just 19 years old, Arnold won the title of Mr. Europe, a victory that solidified his belief that he was on the right path. This was more than just a trophy. It was proof that his sacrifices were worth it. There wasn't just competing, he was dominating, but for Arnold, this was only the beginning. He had his sights set on a bigger stage, America. He knew that in order to become the greatest, he needed to train with the best, and the best were in the United States. Opportunity finally knocked when Arnold was invited to compete in the 1968 Mr. Universe competition in London. This was his chance to prove himself on a global level. He arrived with confidence, but he quickly realized that the American and British competitors were on another level. Their physiques were more refined, their posing techniques more polished. For the first time, he faced a real setback. He didn't win. It was a humbling moment, but Arnold didn't see it as a failure. Instead, he saw it as a lesson, an opportunity to improve. He analyzed his weaknesses, adjusted his training, and vowed to return stronger. Just a year later, he did exactly that. In 1969, he came back to the Mr. Universe stage and won, making history as the youngest competitor ever to claim the title. It was a defining moment, not just for his career, but for his entire life. This victory caught the attention of Joe Weider, the legendary publisher of bodybuilding magazines and one of the most influential figures in the sport. Weider saw something special in Arnold, not just his incredible physique, but his charisma, his ambition, and his potential to become the face of bodybuilding. Weider offered him an opportunity that would change everything. A chance to move to the United States and train under his guidance. For Arnold, this was the moment he had been waiting. For America wasn't just a new country. It was the land where dreams became reality. He packed his bags, left everything behind, and boarded a plane to California. As he stepped off that plane in 1968, barely able to speak English, he wasn't just another immigrant looking for a better life. He was a man on a mission, ready to take on the world and make his name unforgettable. When Arnold Schwarzenegger arrived in the United States in 1968, he was stepping into a world he had only dreamed about. Everything about America felt larger than life. The cities, the culture, the opportunities. But despite his excitement, he faced immediate challenges. His thick Austrian accent made communication difficult, and his limited grasp of English often led to misunderstandings. He had left behind the familiarity of Europe to chase his dream. But now he had to start from scratch in a country where he was an outsider. However, Arnold was never one to be discouraged by obstacles. He took English classes, listened to American radio stations, and practiced speaking whenever he could. He had no intention of letting language barriers hold him back. His focus remained on bodybuilding, and under the guidance of Joe, we gained access to the best gym trainers and competitions in the world. California became his new home, and the famous Gold's Gym in Venice Beach became his training ground. This was the epicenter of bodybuilding, a place where legends were made, and Arnold was determined to dominate. His training intensified beyond anything he had ever done before. He spent countless hours perfecting his physique, sculpting every muscle with meticulous attention into detail. His goal was not just to be good. He wanted to be the best in history. He was relentless, training with a level of discipline that left even the most seasoned bodybuilders in awe. His confidence and charisma made him stand out, and soon he began gaining attention beyond the gym. People were drawn to him, not just because of his size, but because of his personality, his infectious enthusiasm, and his ability to make everything seem possible. Our biggest challenge came when he entered the Mr. Olympia competition, the most prestigious title in bodybuilding. In his first attempt in 1969, he faced Sergio Oliva, a dominant champion known as the Myth. For his incredible physique, despite Arnold's impressive form, he lost to Oliva, suffering a crushing defeat. But instead of seeing it as a failure, he used it as motivation. He dissected every aspect of his performance, studied his opponent, and refined his techniques. He trained harder than ever before, determined to return stronger. In 1970, Arnold made his comeback, stepping onto the Mr. Olympia stage with a level of confidence and preparation he had never felt before. This time, he was unstoppable. He won the competition, becoming the youngest Mr. Olympia in history at just 23 years old. It was a moment of triumph, the realization of years of sacrifice and dedication. But Arnold wasn't satisfied with just one victory. He wanted to build a legacy. He went in to win Mr. Olympia 6 more times, cementing his status as the greatest bodybuilder the world had ever seen. Ash stood on stage holding his trophy. Heck knew this was only the beginning. Bodybuilding had given him fame, but he had bigger dreams. He had conquered the world of fitness, and now he set his sights on something even greater: Hollywood. After conquering the world of bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger set his sights on a new and seemingly impossible challenge: Hollywood. The transition from sports to acting was no teasy, especially for someone with a thick Austrian accent, an untraditional name, and a physique that did not match the typical leading men of the time. The industry was dominated by actors with classic good looks and smooth, polished voices, and Arnold was repeatedly told that his chances of making it as an actor were slim. Casting directors rejected him, claiming his accent was too strong, his body was too massive, and his name was too complicated for audiences to remember. But just as he had done in bodybuilding, Arnold refused to accept failure. He had a vision for himself, and no amount of rejection could deter him. He began taking acting classes, working tirelessly to improve his speech, his expressions, and his understanding of the craft. He knew he couldn't erase his accent, so instead he embraced it, realizing that it could be part of his unique appeal. He also recognized that this size, which many saw as a limitation, could actually be his biggest strength. Instead of trying to fit the mold of a traditional Hollywood actor, he decided to create his own category. His first breakthrough came with the film Hercules in New York in 1970. Though it was far from a major success, his accent was so difficult to understand that producers decided to dub over his voice, and the movie itself was forgettable. But Arnold did not see it as a failure. He saw it as a start. He continued to push forward, taking on small roles, making connection, and learning everything he could about the film industry. At the same time, he built his presence outside of acting, seeing his fame from bodybuilding to stay in the public. His charisma and confidence made him a natural in interviews and public appearances, and people began to take notice. His big break came in 1977 when he starred in the documentary Pumping Iron. The film chronicled the world of competitive bodybuilding, and Arnold's larger-than-life personality made him the standout star. Audiences were captivated by his charm, his confidence, and his relentless drive. He was no longer just a bodybuilder, he was a compelling character. Someone people wanted to watch. The success of Pumping Iron helped him transition further into Hollywood, and soon he landed a role that would change everything. In 1982, Conan the Barbarian was released and Arnold was finally recognized as a legitimate action star. The role was perfect for him. It required strength, presence, and minimal dialogue, allowing his physicality to take center stage. The film became a hit, proving that Arnold could carry a major motion picture. Hollywood had doubted him, but he'd proved them wrong. But this was still only the beginning. Arnold was not satisfied with just one success. He wanted to become the biggest action star in the world, and soon the role that would define his career was right around the corner. Arnold Schwarzenegger's rise in Hollywood had been slow and filled with obstacles, but with the success of Barbarian, he had finally proven that he could lead a major film. The movie's box office performance gave him momentum, and just 2 years later, in 1984, he landed the role that would define his career and cement his position as a global superstar, the Terminator. When Arnold was first asked for the film, he was initially considered for the part of Kyle Ree, the human soldier sent back in time to protect Sarah Connor. However, after reading the script, Arnold became fascinated by the Terminator itself. He saw the figure as an unstoppable force, a relentless machine that moved with precision and speed. Director James Cameron was initially hesitant, but after meeting Arnold, he learned that he was perfect for the job. His imposing physique, his cold and planned speech, and his ability to say so much with so few words made him perfect pick to play the deadly cyborg Terminator. The killer robot became a huge hit. Success far beyond what was expected. Arnold's acting was scary. And never forget his line, "I'll be back." This phrase became one of the most famous in overnight movie history. He was no longer just a bodybuilder who became an actress. He was as a real movie star. Hollywood had finally accepted him and what he did. His music was about to take over the genre. Being there after the Terminator, Arnold's career took off after he took on. There are more lead parts in a string of hit movies that showed off his unique mix of power, charisma, and having fun. Commando, 1985, Predator, 1987, and The Running Man, 1987, was the best action hero ever. Persona on screen was bigger than life. People couldn't get enough of him. He had something that no other actor did: strong presence, a mix of the fear and charm that made him. Arnold was both scary and likable, but not only a movie star, but also, he was a smart businessman and carefully chose parts that would help his job, and took chances that paid off in the end. 1980s. He showed he could be funny. With Twins in 1988, a surprise hit at the box office, his success, which put him in touch with Danny D. It was clear that Arnold was not. He could only do action movies. Comedy works just as well. This, having many skills, made him even more useful in Hollywood, which let him take on different jobs while still keeping his power. As a move to Arnold became a celebrity when the 1990s came around. Kept going to new heights within the 1990s. Movies like Total Recall, and it was Terminator 2. Judgment Day in 1991 became one of the most successful movies of all time. He had gone from being in with a strong accent and a strange name, a big name in the movie business world. His journey was the best proof that with unwavering drive and determination and a strong belief in oneself, anything was. Arnold's story was not at all like that. More than his ambitions went far beyond Hollywood, and he was about to set his plans for a whole new task.